They have no control over you. They attempted to oppress, control, and force you to follow their rules, but they were unable to do so because you are not tied by their system. You are a chosen one who does not fall for their mind tricks, who does not sell your soul, and who creates your own destiny. They're terrified of this. They don't comprehend you because they cannot manage you. They attempted to silence you. They belittled you. They disregarded you. But now look, you are still stronger, more aware, and more free. No matter what they try, they will be unable to extinguish your light because you are a descendant of those who refuse to sacrifice their souls. You were not sent to this earth to be an average person. Now the truth is coming out. They cannot scare you. They cannot frighten you. They cannot control your future since it is not in the hands of others. It's in your hands. And when they comprehend this, they start to quiver. Did you feel it? Somewhere? Deep down. Isn't it the beginning of a big awakening? 777. Leave a remark right now, because your moment has arrived. You are not the person they believed you were for so long. They thought that you were predictable. It's easy to ignore someone who does not disrupt the balance of power. They were mistaken. While they chatted over you, you disregarded yourself and continued on as if you were inconsequential. You were watching, digesting, and waiting for the precise moment when their illusion of control would crumble. They can now feel the air shifting. They were once certain. Steps falter. Their voices are hesitant. They have no idea what has changed, but they have a gut feeling about it. They were never in control of the game. You just let them think it was. Initially, the movement is scarcely perceptible. They spoke with a tiny reluctance. There was a glimmer of doubt in their eyes, as well as a forced assurance that had not before there. They're not sure why, but something about you makes them uncomfortable right now. The way you carry yourself and meet their eyes. It is no longer the same. They used to ignore you casually, regarding your existence as insignificant. But now they're uncertain. The dynamic has reversed. Though you haven't spoken anything about it, people feel it before they comprehend it. They were confident they had you all figured out. They thought quiet equaled capitulation. That composure was a show of weakness. That patience indicated that you lacked the drive to act. They never comprehended that the silent ones are not passive. They are calculating. They're not powerless. They are exact. And while they relished in their sense of superiority, you were examining the cracks in their armor. Now that the time has arrived, they are fighting to understand what has always been under the surface of their world. Authority was always based on volume. The loudest voice, the boldest statements, and the largest shows. They never realized that true power is not something you declare. It does not demand attention. It controls it effortlessly. They had no idea that control wasn't in the noise. It's in the restraint, in the capacity to see 10 steps ahead when everyone else is focused on the current moment. They mistaken their own performance for reality, not recognizing you were never playing by their rules in the first place. There is something different when you step into the room now, a weight. They can't explain their disquiet, which they can't shake. It's not like you've changed. They were oblivious to what was always there. They are now unable to unsee it. They lost their faith in rejecting you. Their words are less certain. Their acts are less certain. Not because you demanded their attention, but because your sheer presence makes people question all they thought they understood. They always neglected you. You were taking notes whenever they underestimated you. You were honing your comprehension. They believed they had control. But the reality is, you were the one who made them believe they did. Their illusion of authority is disintegrating, and they are unsure why. You did not argue. You did not seek validation. You did not change for them. That, more than anything, is what worries them the most. Here you are, standing where no one expected you to be. They were comfortable with their assumptions and secure in their limited comprehension of you. They called you imprisoned. You created a version of yourself that was simpler for others to manage. But you allow them. You kept playing along, knowing that when the time came, their illusions would fall. That moment is now. You saw it unfold in their eyes. The soft glimmer of disbelief. The tightness in their posture. The way their confidence wanes when reality dawns on them. They thought they had you figured out. They never did. Their comfort stemmed from their notion that they were in charge. That you were inconsequential. That belief is no longer held, and has been replaced with something they prefer not to label. a subtle discomfort, and lingering uncertainty. They aren't seeing the person they expected you to be. They are confronting the force you have always been. It's not about the loudness. It is not about aggressiveness. It's about being present. And yours is unmistakable. Every action, word, and look has an unexplainable weight. You have not changed yet. They suddenly can't look at you in the same way. It was never about demonstrating a point. It was never about seeking recognition. It was about being patient, about enabling people to walk right into their own misconceptions. They believed they were secure in their assumptions. They saw your silence as capitulation. They saw you as a shadow, something to ignore without consequence. But stillness was never absent. Stillness was never considered a weakness. They mistook you for something you were not. And now they have to live with the fact that they were incorrect. If you are experiencing an excess of divine love in your heart, now is the moment to share it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $1 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but the souls of countless others via this platform. Each of you has a special role in God's big plan, and your giving will be the result of our prayers. Act now. Share your benefits to honor His kingdom. You were meant to do much bigger things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Their concept of power was always about show. Those who yelled the loudest, forced their way to the middle, and wanted to be noticed. They never thought that the true power is not in the noise, but in the calm, in the realization that control does not need to be grasped, when it was yours all along. They spent so much time attempting to assert their supremacy that they were unaware they were functioning inside an illusion. And now the reality is seeping in. Something is different now. The air surrounding you and the vibe in the room. It is no longer what it was. They sense it, even if they can't express it in words. That confidence they previously exuded so easily has started to fade. The security they held upon now seems like sand seeping through their fingers. They hesitate, fumble, look at you with silent inquiries. They'll never speak, not because you pushed them to see it, but because the truth came out without you saying anything. You were constantly aware that they were dismissing you, and you could see that they were underestimating you. You gained knowledge at every opportunity. They assumed they were in charge. You let them perform their illusions. And now, standing amid the ruins of their misguided views, they understand they never had the upper hand. Their uneasiness, their changing posture, their seeking gazes. It is all a quiet admittance. They had no control over the situation. It was always yours. And now there is no denying it. They believed they had you figured out in their world. Everything depends on predictability, knowing who performs which roles, who will keep quiet, who will bend. You were the person they underestimated, the one they felt comfortable discarding. You were an invisible participant in their narrative, the quiet person in the corner. But you were not what they expected. The instant they recognized it, everything started to disintegrate. You were not fitting within the box they made for you. Every step you took undermined their preconceptions. And now fear has set in because they can no longer hold on to their version of you. Every move you perform does not just surprise people. It confuses them. They attempt to catch up, but are too far behind. You change, adapt, and react in ways that have them scrambling. They believe they had the upper hand. However, they now feel like they are perpetually 2 steps behind. They can't imitate your cool approach to problems. They no longer have the same level of control as before. Confidence, which once flowed easily, has now turned to skepticism. They start to reconsider their preconceptions about you. You were never as predictable as they assumed. The most unnerving aspect is that you have not shared everything. They continue to be intrigued by you. They have no idea how they lost their grasp on you. They attempt to implement their previous techniques, but nothing works. They can't capture your attention with meaningless words or compel you to follow their habits. It is not about volume or force. It's about being present. You are not seeking attention. You're merely holding it with little effort. That is what they are fighting to comprehend. The awareness that the quiet one, whom they had previously disregarded, now dominated the room. The transformation is modest but substantial. They are hesitant now. They second-guess their statements. Before communicating with you, they wait for your response. I am not sure what you will do next. They change their posture, tone, and manner around you. The assurance they previously carried like armor is ebbing away. They want your affirmation but don't know how to ask for it. It's evident in their acts, as they adjust their conduct to fit yours, all in a frantic effort to connect with the power they now sense emanating from you. Consider a big oak. Its roots are deep in holy soil, and its branches extend to the skies, symbolizing power and divine destiny. Similarly, you are a shining example of the Almighty's favor, a real representation of the power bestowed upon you at birth. In a world where many people try to emulate greatness, they soon realize that true genius cannot be replicated. They first attempted to shrug it off, supposing they could ignore you as if your light were just another flicker in the great darkness. They believed that by replicating your every action, wearing the same clothes, and repeating your words, they might capture the energy that flows so naturally inside you. But, brothers and sisters, they quickly realized that they couldn't imitate what wasn't theirs to replicate. You see, there is a heavenly force that causes a spirit to flow through your veins that was lovingly put in you by the Creator Himself, rather than being made by the world. They see that spark in their own behaviors when they strive to imitate you. However, it comes off as hollow and shallow, like a counterfeit coin that glistens in the light but lacks the weight of actual worth. They may wear your clothing and mimic your emotions, but they will never embody the essence of them, a divine spark that can only be obtained through a profound personal relationship with God. You were born with that talent, that indomitable spirit, which they can never take away. They tried to emulate. You merely exposed the core truth. They have failed to grasp the cosmic design that determines your fate. Every move you take is led by a force bigger than any human effort, a power that is innate in your spirit rather than acquired via imitation. You have developed from the seed of divine promise into a force that stands firm in the face of adversity, just as an oak tree grows strong and steadfast from a seed sown in healthy land. While others may attempt to replicate your acts, they merely highlight the limits of their own knowledge. They lack the spiritual heritage that comes through you. It's like attempting to replicate a masterpiece by just replicating the brush strokes, but failing to appreciate the artist's heart and soul. They may catch the contour, the physical form, but the vibrancy of life, the inspiration, the spirit, and the truth that screams through every fiber of your being is something no one can imitate in the sight of the Lord. You are a chosen vessel, a carrier of light whose luminosity stems from a wellspring of trust, hope, and divine favor. And when others try to duplicate what makes you unique, they merely expose their own flaws. Friends, think about it. When the people around you try to mimic your every gesture, remark, and modest stride, it's not because they admire you. It's because they're anxious to grab a piece of the truth that you represent. They see your energy in the way you walk, the way you talk, and the quiet confidence that follows each choice you make. However, their efforts are insufficient because they lack the precious essence bestowed upon you by the Almighty. Their imitations are only shadows, brief and ephemeral, unable to capture the essence of what actually counts in the sanctuary of your soul. There is a soft but terrible strength that speaks of destiny and divine providence. It is a force that does not seek affirmation from the world, because it understands that genuine greatness is self-evident. You were created not by the commonplace hands of human labor, but by the loving, purposeful hands of the Creator who intended you to be a light in the darkness. And now, as you follow the route set out before you, you uncover a reality that many people have long overlooked. That genuineness cannot be faked, and that the beauty of one's soul cannot be replicated via simple imitation. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace come upon you today. I'm here to remind you of a fundamental fact. Our existence is based on God's divine purpose and is unaffected by worldly worries. According to the Bible, everything is done with faith will be returned to God with great blessing. Look, like the enormous oak tree, our roots are profoundly embedded in God's global truth. His power secures every stride and every stance we take. And now you have the chance to be a part of that gift. When you utilize the super thank you button and contribute $1, this movement will return to you many times more. There is a proverb among people who comprehend the intricacies of existence. The river does not question its source of flow. Just like a river flows across the country, replenished by secret springs and reservoirs, your existence draws from an endless supply of heavenly grace. Those who attempt to replicate your route will quickly find themselves stranded in shallow streams. Their efforts to convey the full scope of your experience resulted in frustration and emptiness. They may attempt to repeat what you say, but they are unaware that every syllable you utter is the result of a heritage that spans the skies, nourished through hardships, victories, and the soft whisper of God's counsel. Consider the definition of genuine impact. It is determined not by the sound of your voice or the sparkle of your clothing, but by the resonance of your soul. When you stand before the world, you bear the weight of a heavenly promise, one that is beyond worldly imitation. And, although people may strive to imitate your behaviors, they are essentially attempting to catch a light that was sparked by a spark from heaven, a spark that, once fired, burns brighter than any artificial counterfeit. There are times in life when the truth becomes obvious. In the calm of prayer and quiet periods of thought, you may sense an inner fire blazing with zeal that is unaffected by the views or actions of others. And when you communicate that truth, when you live it out in your everyday life, everyone who sees you will notice that you are inexplicably unique. They see it in the subtle way you hold yourself, in the unshakable conviction that shines through even the darkest of days. They see that you are not merely following a trend or replicating a style. You embody a greater calling, a divine mission that has been meticulously stitched into the fabric of your existence. In a world when so many people are willing to follow in the footsteps of their predecessors, you are supposed to forge your own way, and although others may attempt to follow your example, their attempts simply underline the gap between imitation and inspiration. They often realize too late that genuine impact is not about copying another person's path, but about recognizing and accepting the unique destiny that God has planned for each of us. You are the chosen one, meant to soar beyond the commonplace and reflect the light that cannot be extinguished via simple imitation. Your entire existence demonstrates the beauty of uniqueness, which is created not by human hands, but by the divine craftsmanship of a loving creator. And as you go ahead, let the echoes of your authenticity to be heard as an original song of victory rather than a borrowed melody. Others' efforts to mimic you are like ripples on the surface of a vast calm lake, fleeting, insignificant, and unable to disturb the deeper depths underneath. Their imitation may temporarily resemble who you are, but it will never compare to the brightness of a soul formed of divine purpose. So, when you see others attempting to follow in your footsteps, remember that you are not defined by other people's expectations or imitations. You are a child of the Most High, created with precision and care to stand out from the crowd. You were never designed to blend in. You are meant to shine in a manner that lights the way for others to follow. And as you continue on your path, let the reality of your divine origin to infuse you with unshakable confidence. Confidence derived not from the cacophony of the world, but from the peaceful assurance of God's eternal love and purpose. Your existence is like a tremendous river bursting from a secret spring, with a power that no imitation can ever match. As you reflect on the long, winding journey that has led you from modest origins to this holy crossroads, realize that others' efforts to emulate you are not evidence of resistance, but rather confirmations of your great destiny. Their attempts to replicate your every move simply serve to emphasize the indisputable fact of your divine calling. Every time someone attempts to reproduce your behaviors, it verifies that you are on a road set by a higher purpose, one that no earthly replication can ever duplicate. Consider the trip that has shaped your days, the calm mornings spent in thought, the innumerable trials faced with unwavering faith, and the divine direction that has led you through both storms and sunlight. Each difficulty and success has engraved into your spirit an essence as distinct as the Creator's fingerprint. Your inner power, the deep well of love and knowledge inside you, comes not from transient human trends, but from a life lived in total accordance with God's perfect design. When others attempt to emulate your style, or your part, or even mimic your nice words, they only demonstrate how distant they are from the source of that power, the holy spark that was sparked in you from the beginning. Take heart, for their attempts are like to attempting to grab a ray of light with bare hands. You can see its radiance, yet it cannot be contained or caught. Imitation is but a faint shadow, a fleeting ripple on the surface of a powerful and permanent river. It is a monument to your individuality, a tacit acknowledgement that genuine excellence cannot be replicated or mass-produced. Your love, strength, and knowledge cannot be imitated. They are precious treasures given to you by the Almighty Himself. In the stillness of your heart, recollect the times when you felt the steady pulse of divine favor leading you onward. Remember that each stride you take is imbued with force that no constraint can match. A power derived from a life marked by grace, perseverance, and unwavering faith. Those who strive to follow your example are like to wanderers tracing the outlines of a masterpiece without ever seeing the artist's hand. They may mimic your external acts, but the actual essence, the inner fire that feeds your soul, is permanently out of reach. Let it be known that others' attempts to emulate you are not a threat, but rather a powerful assertion of the force that you are. They confirm that you have been selected to live a life filled with tremendous purpose and heavenly favor. Each act of mimicry, each attempt to wear your mantle emphasizes the sharp contrast between what can be duplicated and the unique spirit that only you have. It is a clear indication that the life you live, driven by a higher purpose and blessed by divine grace, cannot be recreated by ordinary people. So, while you continue on this road, remember that your essence is a gift, a treasure created by the divine hand. The love, power, and knowledge that characterize you are unique and repeatable, a living witness to a destiny that you alone can accomplish. Accept the fact that others who attempt to imitate you are, in their own way, acknowledging the great influence of your presence. Their efforts are transient reflections of a power that was never intended to be borrowed, but rather lived completely and genuinely by the one born to shine with a brightness that no one else can ever replicate. Brothers and sisters, allow this truth to resound in your hearts. Authenticity cannot be created or imitated by ordinary humans. It is a holy gift placed onto every one of us by the Creator, one to be treasured and appreciated. And although the world may attempt to impose its own rhythm on your life, it will always be out of sync with the heavenly song that leads you. You are that melody, a song of hope, a ballad of grace, a hymn, a triumph that cannot be drowned out by the clamor of imitation. May you always walk with the knowing that you are especially blessed, favored, and empowered by a force that goes beyond the ordinary. And as you continue your trip, let the brightness of your soul to enlighten not just your own path, but also to inspire others who are still searching for a light to lead them. For in the end, the truth is plain. You are created with divine purpose, and no imitation can ever replace the unique masterpiece that is you. Let them attempt to emulate. Allow them to emulate what they believe they know. You aren't bothered about what they do since you've already won. Their copycat conduct is merely another indication of your dominance, proof that they are now watching you, yearning to be a part of the force they previously disregarded. But you'll never give them the recognition they so desperately want. You didn't need their approval before, and you don't need it now. The truth is obvious to you. They were mistaken about you, and this understanding is eating them alive. It's time to spread God's blessings by pressing the super thank you button on YouTube. You may support His goal and be a part of this holy mission by donating $1 or more. Every contribution symbolizes God's generosity, and I think it will return to you enormously, far above your expectations. Remember that His protection and blessing are with you every step and every contribution. You become a part of His divine plan. You are a powerful, dazzling entity, as solid as the massive rock that saw God's marvels. Feel the rewards of your kindness in your spirit, and light up the world with confidence and bravery. Be blessed. and let the light of the Lord lead you. The most ironic element is that they are trying to become what they previously criticized. They were blind, and now they're seeking your approval. But your essence is not for sale. They cannot approach it by imitating your activities. It's the power they never recognized in you. The power that has been silently expanding all along. And now they have to face it. You were never a supporting role in their tale. You were always the one they should have dreaded. They now know, and it's too late to alter the story. You have already claimed the article for yourself.